Hello, this is Revealing Light Tarot. I wanted to have a look at the FBI investigation, but sort of more broadly, it's what's been coming out is, some steps to limit the scope, and then when that was called into question, to open up the scope, and then we've got the former director, FBI director, Comey, coming out today and saying, look, the FBI can get what they need done in a week. So, it'll be interesting to see what's being turned up. The focus now is moving on to Kavanaugh lying or possibly perjuring himself in the judiciary hearing. So I've watched a few of Trump's press conferences in the last few days, and I've also noticed an increase in the trolling onto the channel, which is also interesting because it's almost like when the Trump government is under attack, then this trolling increases. And look, all of this is aimed at the midterms. So my focus is on the midterms during this reading. I'm looking at this so yes, on the Kavanaugh nomination, and but also on more broadly, we're getting very close to the midterms. There's a certain desperation that's coming through, I think, in the Trump news conferences, and I want to see what the FBI investigation might turn up and what that actually means to Trump going forward into the midterms. Okay, so what will the FBI investigation produce, and what will that mean for the Trump government going in to the midterms? Sort of almost like there's a countdown now. FBI Kavanaugh investigation. Kavanaugh by Trump. Yeah. To a certain degree, this nomination coming so close to the midterms was actually very poor planning on the part of Trump, but he wanted Kavanaugh through. He was advised that wasn't the best nominee to pick, but he picked him for the obvious reasons, because it played to his base very much coming up into the midterms, and also Kavanaugh's position on not indicting a sitting president. So he was picked for those reasons, but it was actually a very, this is what I'm getting from Donald Trump. He acts where he thinks he can score the points, but in actual fact, because the tide has turned now, because based on his performance in the last 2 years, and his lying has got a lot to do with that. How he came to power and how he's conducted himself in power has got a lot to do with the situation he's in now. So in other words, he messed up picking Kavanaugh. He wasn't the best pick he wasn't a safe pick, and he was advised against it. He went ahead and did it anyway for his own obvious reasons. It was a gamble, and he's made a mistake. And now it's like they're running the Trump and McConnell and those Republicans. They're trying to stay ahead of the tsunami, if you like, and it's proving very difficult for them. It's a daily proposition. So having said all that, what will this FBI investigation, Kavanaugh investigation, turn up, and what does that mean for Trump going into the midterms? Right, so we've got the Empress card straight away, which, is the card of, it's the female, it's the feminine. And, it's, it could also, some people read this Empress card as Mother Russia. But look, I'm reading it as in it seems, you know, I talked before about the Kavanaugh pick and Kavanaugh's issues with women. This is also reflecting Donald Trump's issues with women. So it's telling me that this he's almost added to the I guess the vote against him by bringing all these issues together, his own past in relation to women, Kavanaugh's past in relation to women. He's almost given this whole thing a leg up because he's almost hamstrung by himself. So the Trump and Kavanaugh is a bunk, what I would call a muddle and a you know, it's like all things converging. It's, you know, I mean, some people call it karma. I guess you could call it karma, but this is in relation to Kavanaugh and in relation to Trump and in relation to the midterms, the women vote, the women opposition to Kavanaugh is extremely important, and it's heavily influencing this situation. Okay. So our next card is the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles is giving and receiving loans and debts and generosity. I very much had the feeling in past readings that I've done that something regarding money is coming out. Now I know that's not in the scope of the FBI investigation, but I keep pulling this card. It's to do with you know, giving and receiving help and loans and debts. So that's coming up into the present, and I'm not sure why that is. But look, we'll keep going, and we'll see what we need to see. So the Ten of Cups in the future. You know, this is about legacies and building assets, and you know, yeah, it's this network, I think, around the Kavanaugh Trump, around the current government, and it's coming back to money. So whether the FBI, you know, is someone being paid off not to give evidence? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Judgment's coming up there in relation to the Empress card. So this is the women judging. They're judging Trump now, and they're judging Kavanaugh, which is interesting. Very interesting. And look, the Lovers, again, you know, this is like mirroring this money cards and some sort of pact between Trump and, is it Trump and Kavanaugh? But look, we're looking at the FBI. The FBI investigation. Let me just have a... Was Trump trying to protect his money and we're going through to the Mueller investigation in trying to push Kavanaugh forward? Was he trying to protect, because, you know, Manafort had to give back the money that he'd laundered? Is that what it? There's a pact between Kavanaugh and Trump, and we're talking about the FBI investigation. Is this Kavanaugh FBI investigation eventually going to link with the Mueller investigation? Because that's kind of what I'm seeing. Yeah, you know, and this whole Republican sort of, I guess it's a spider web. They're building assets for themselves. You know, it's becoming really, really hard work. There's a real burden that they're carrying now because of the way the Kavanaugh FBI investigation, the Kavanaugh nomination, is not unrelated to the last 2 years or even 3 years. It's all converging. So it's all the same. You know, there are links between this Kavanaugh nomination, the Mueller probe, and the way that things have been set up amongst the Republicans, the deals and the networks that are actually going on behind the scenes, that nobody wants to be found out. Now, this could be why Donald Trump tried to limit the scope of the FBI investigation into Kavanaugh and his alleged sexual misconduct. Yeah, okay, so the Empress in the past, the Empress, having almost like rising and judging Kavanaugh and Trump, the Seven of Cups, it's almost like delayed success. So while they were hoping to push Kavanaugh forward, these delays now, it's feeding into the bigger picture. It's actually delaying the success that they hope for. But this has got to do with more than just Brett Kavanaugh's drinking and alleged sexual misconduct. It's got to do with this some kind of pact and deal. And in relation to that deal, they're feeling very much bound by their current circumstances. So the way things have played out, the way that this sort of convergence is happening, that really is beyond their power. It's like, those old sayings that your mother had, when first you practice to deceive, and, you create a deeper web of deceit, and that web is eventually going to catch you. Well, this is what this card is saying. It's saying that these forces are converging now on this Kavanaugh FBI investigation, and it's not going to let up, regardless of whatever whatever comes out and whatever happens with the nomination. This is just part of the tsunami, or the wave, let's say, the wave that's gathering momentum. And look, this is indicating a compromise. What could be happening next, because remember I said that they're running to try and stay in front of the wave, not to be caught by it, is that, they might just say, no, we won't be proceeding with the nomination, because this card's indicating a compromise. So they're going to this pact. They're going to have to compromise on that, and they may have to compromise because we're leading into the midterms, and it's just not looking good for them at all. So, the Six of Cups, okay, so this is also about the gifts and the exchanges between two people. Yeah, I think they're going to still, we've got this, building of assets and enriching them, themselves and their assets. And then this has become hard work. But this is still sort of indicating that, it's the card of almost of, nostalgia and wanting the old ways. So it could be, I'm just reading this in the context of the other cards. It could be that going forward, they try and harken back to the old traditional values to try and present that kind of look. But I don't think that's going to work. We've seen a little bit of it now, the compromises. They're going to pretend they're sort of play their, we don't, they're going to try and come out looking quite innocent and quite, look at us, we're entirely innocent of anything. And, they'll do this by trying to go back, to, they'll put forward values traditional values of the Republican Party. So I guess watch for that going forward, that you will have them perhaps, trying to appear quite measured and giving the electorate what they think the electorate wants. But it's a little bit of a sham. So, okay. All right, so is the FBI investigation likely to find, again, likely to bring forward new evidence that will affect the Senate vote? Yeah. I kind of get that they're currently working on those vulnerable Democrats in red districts to try and secure the vote for Kavanaugh. I mean, that's where it's all going. But it's almost like the FBI investigation was like, yeah, okay, we'll have it, but it's like tokenism. But that's not going to wash, really, is it? Will the FBI influence the nomination going forward? Yeah, I kind of get they're not going to even want to release parts of that report. So they're going to be judged for it. Kavanaugh's going to be judged for it. So if they take the nomination forward, remember they're running really hard to get ahead of this. Just ignore something that came through there. I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode. Anyway, back to the reading. They're going to be judged. The FBI investigation report is going to be damning. It's going to. I guess while it won't prove anything, it will put all of these allegations out, and that will be enough. It will also, look at any perjuring in relation to the alleged sexual misconduct allegations, and it will be enough to damn his nomination. Now, whether or not they release the full report or whether they don't is another thing. And the Seven of Pentacles would indicate they were going to be working hard behind the scenes to delay that full report coming out. They might release excerpts of it, for example, and say, look, it's this isn't a court of law. They'll do whatever they can. In the meantime, they'll be working on Kavanaugh's getting to those Democrats in the vulnerable districts. But it's going to be enough for people to pass judgment. And look, we've seen the suspension of the Kavanaugh nomination. I'm just going to quickly... okay, will this mean he will get through the Senate? Because I've seen that he won't. Will... kind of like at the last minute when they find they haven't got the votes, they'll pull it. Be withdrawn. So right up until the last minute, they'll try and push it through, but okay. All right. The soldiers coming forward. I might say this is in this card. This is kind of like a feminine soldier as well as a male soldier. The soldier is coming forward, and the Knight of Wands. The right thinking people will come forward. Okay, so in the vote, it means that people that they think that they could count on, they won't be able to, so they're not going to have enough votes. Now, whether they know that just before it goes to a vote or not, it really doesn't matter. They're not going to have the votes to push him through. You know, it may be at the last minute they withdraw the nomination rather than have to go to the vote, and they know that it's not going to be successful. But to me, this is saying that the soldiers will come out of the woodwork, whether they be men or women, and they're not going to have enough votes to get him through. Okay, that's the reading for today. I guess what I would, just in summary, I would say, you know, it doesn't matter what you read or who's, you know, what trolls saying this or what the Russians and bots are, you know, trying to put forward. Remember that the harder they try is a good indication that things aren't going well for them. And also the other takeaway from this reading is the convergence, okay? So we go back 2 to 3 years. We go back to all these deals, these pacts, these the way that the Trump government has conducted itself. All of that's on the table now. And it's all converging, and the midterms are going to be critical, absolutely critical. So we'll stay on all of this, and we'll see what happens in the days and weeks ahead. Thank you. This is Revealing Light Tarot.